So Gilbert Burns is the opposite of Chael P. If Chael P is the bad guy, Gilbert Burns is the good guy. And Gilbert Burns just did an interview. Now, first off, and you guys know I'm a Gilbert fan. I disclose that. I have a personal relationship with him. I disclose that. But my whole personal relationship with him and the whole reason I like him are all things that you would know. He competes all the time. Gilbert Burns was in a grappling tournament over the weekend. Did you guys know that? You knew it if you read the results. The promoter of the event never built it up, never said Gilbert Burns was in it. He never did any interviews on it. This is who he is inside. He wants to compete non-state. He actually lost, by the way. Gilbert Burns, I think he got guillotined. He was the top guys in the world, and I think the winner goes off to Abu Dhabi. I mean, and Gilbert Burns belongs with the top guys in the world, but my point being that he wants to compete. It's not an act. You get these very few guys, right? You got to have 20 BS artists to meet one Cowboy Cerrone that actually will walk out there anytime at any weight class with anybody. It sounds like a brave thing to say, but you don't have a lot of guys that will actually do it. Gilbert Burns not only will do it, he is doing it right in front of us. And it's very relevant because he had some very nice things to say over the weekend. Gilbert Burns was asked about Kamaru Usman. Now, Gilbert Burns every single day of his life gets up and thinks about beating Kamaru Usman, but he had very nice things to say. And don't forget their relationship. They are friends. They are former teammates, training partners. Then they had to go and be competitors, and Gilbert is trying to be a competitor again. But Gilbert did comment on Kamaru Usman, and he said, and I quote, "I have been shocked how well the move to Colorado has worked out for Usman." And he was specifically referring to Usman's last performance against Colby, said how great he looked, and then he complimented Colby. This is Burns talking. Talked about how good Colby looked, how competitive he was, where his growth and gains were from the last time those two fought, or the last time that Burns has even seen Colby fight. He was very nice. And he's right. If all you do is throw mud, nobody listens to you anymore. You got to have a sincerity with the audience, which also comes with compliments. I have always suggested to Conor McGregor that he do a few more compliments. Pick a guy. The guy could be 2 weight classes smaller than you. He could be 5 weight classes bigger than you, but put him over so that the audience listens, so the audience knows you're just like them. You admire. You see positive works. If you only go negative, you can get a lot of attention, but you won't have the same sincerity within the attention. Just a suggestion. I digress, because when Gilbert is very positive and he wants to fight Kamaru Usman badly. Everything he does is a plan to fight for the world championship, which right now is held by Usman. He knows he's going to have to go through Colby at some point. But he still built those guys up. He still said what he saw, which was a great performance by 2 guys who are showing an evolution. And it meant something to me. It meant something to me when he said it. Now, let's stay on 170 pounds since this is where Gilbert took us. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Now, make sure you understand what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you as a fan to matchmake your dream fight. I get that if we do a popular opinion, and I actually did a poll. I did a poll at chaelsonnen.com with this very question, and guess who won it with 82% of the vote? Chimaev. Of course he did. The same guy that you want to see fight for the belt. I do too. I'm extremely curious. Where is this guy and how far is this guy? 4 fights in the UFC, and people are making a comparison that he can beat the best fighter on earth right now. Not just in the weight class, the pound-for-pound GOAT, Kamaru Usman. You're telling me a guy with 4 fights that were all less than 20 minutes, he can take out the guy who just did 25 last Saturday against Covington? I mean, right? That's interesting to me. Whether you're right or wrong, I'm in for that experiment. I want to see that. You have my curiosity. But that's not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you that. Because whoever you say yes to, there's 3 guys you're telling no. And the number 1 guy you're going to tell no is Leon Edwards. And I want to know if you are willing to tell him that. And it can't just be the proverbial you. Is your name Dana? Is your name Craig? Is your name Lawrence? Is your name Hunter? Is your name Mick? Is your name Sean? If it's not, you're out of it. If you are one of those people that I just mentioned, please come on my show. I will bring Leon on. I will put what's called a split screen, and you can tell him why he's not going to get the shot. So which one of those people, between Dana, Craig, Lawrence, Hunter, Sean, and Mick, is going to draw the short straw and have to tell Leon he's not getting the opportunity? Because what would that conversation be like? Those are 6 of the most reasonable people I have ever met. In all fairness, these are 6 of the most level-headed minds I've ever met that do not say ridiculous things. So which one of them is going to try to tell Leon why he's not getting the shot? And what would you possibly tell him? What would you possibly say? You couldn't do it on merit. You couldn't do it on ranking. You couldn't do it on how long since you've even lost a round, let alone a fight. You couldn't do it on anything that would make any level of sense. It would have to be a business decision that you don't think that that's the biggest draw. And if you do come to that conclusion and you're willing to come out and tell him, somebody's going to have to tell him. It ain't going to be me. I don't have the words. I don't want to deliver bad news. What would I possibly say? I would look like a fool. There is no reason it's not Leon. But let's just say there's some kind of a reason that it's not. Let's just say, for fun, since Leon hasn't been named the next opponent of Kamaru Usman, for fun, let's say that there's a reason. And one of the 6 guys that matter is going to have to call and give the reason. What would it be? What would it be that the next guy in line satisfies that Leon doesn't? Because the next guy in line is going to be Luque, who just weighed in for it, who was less than 24 hours away from fighting for a world championship at Madison Square Garden. Whether it happened or not, he was in that position, so he matters. Of course he does. Dana personally has taken Chimaev out of the sweepstakes. That was a tremendous clue for what's going to happen at 170 pounds. Masvidal is removed for a good reason. Who are you going to turn to? If you don't like Leon for any reason, and you're willing to admit that it's personal, it is not business, it is not competitive, it is not because of the rankings, the wins, who are you going to replace him with that more satisfies whatever it is you're looking for than Leon? Who? Do you see the problem? And I don't think that is a problem for Leon. It's a problem because Leon hasn't been named the #1 contender, and something is holding that up. So let's just say you're Dana. This is not Dana. I am not speaking for Dana, but let's say Dana doesn't want to make that fight. Dana can't get out of it because he can't call Leon and tell him why. What would Dana possibly say? He's a reasonable guy. There would be nothing within reason. So he needs Kamaru to deny the fight. If Dana, this is hypothetical, didn't want that, he needs Kamaru to refuse it and go, well, hey, Usman's the champ, and, for whatever reason, he won't do it, and we got to move on with things, and that's why we're going to bling Muhammad on up here. Whatever the answer would be. Usman's not going to deny anybody, period, and he's proven that. He's proven that with 2 times in there with the BMF, with 2 times in there with Chaos. He's proven he will take on anybody. He didn't deny Chimaev. He's not denying Gilbert Burns, who hurt him, by the way. Gilbert hurt him. He's not going to deny Leon. So if there's nobody to deny him, if there's nobody to step in front of this thing, can we just make the announcement? Leon Edwards, congratulations. You are now the #1 contender.